If you shoot Westcott and you've got at least one FJ400 and you're wondering, is it worth the upgrade to the FJ400II? Well, today I've got you covered. Okay, so the FJ400II has been out for a couple months now, and I have had mine since, I guess, maybe a few weeks before the release, so I could test it out beforehand. So I've had it for a decent amount of time, and I have to say that I do love it. I love the original FJ400. I have 6 of them, and I actually needed more, so it was good timing that they sent me this in the 800. So I really do appreciate that. And by the way, they didn't pay for this video. This is just a question I've been asked several times, and I thought it was worth doing a YouTube video on just so that I could point people in the direction of this rather than have to explain it every time. So I obviously am a big fan of the original strobe. It's not perfect. There are a lot of great things about it. There are a few things that I kind of wish maybe had been done differently, but it was their first shot at it. So overall, you know, I don't have very many complaints. I mean, the usability of it and the reliability and the power of it for the price, I don't think you can beat it, honestly. I was very proud to be a top pro whenever they announced these strobes when they came out, because I've been wanting them to come out for a long time, and I think that they as a company needed to produce some so it would go perfectly with their modifiers. And you know, I like the fact that everything could be under the same umbrella. I like having the same ecosystem. It just, usually things work better like that. It's like that with Apple. It's like that with photography equipment, whether, you know, whatever camera brand you shoot, obviously, you know, you're gonna have the same type of lenses, things like that. So I think it's great to have the same type of modifiers, same type of strobes, because that way they're all gonna fit together really nicely. So, you know, coupled with the amazing modifiers they have, this is a great, best bang for your buck on the market, I think. So when the second one came out, you know, the 800 is obviously twice as powerful, 800 watt seconds versus 400. So that's an easy one. But people don't really know the differences between these two. A lot of people are in the same boat that I am. They have several of the 400 and they are wondering, is it worth upgrading and selling my old ones? Because you're not going to get full market value, obviously, for these, because they're used, right? Depending on the wear and tear, you know, I haven't tried to sell mine, so I'm not really 100% sure what I would get for them. But you're going to take a loss because the price is the same for, I think that this may have gone down, but I know these are the let's see how much these are. So on Westcott's website, the FJ400II is, $629.90. The original FJ400 is, if I can find the price, $499. So this one is $130 more. Is it worth that? Or is it worth selling these to get those? All right, so let's go through it. The most obvious difference is the look. Now, I used to be a graphic designer, so I'm very picky about logos, design, what design packaging looks like, that kind of thing. And overall, I think that the FJ400 is good. The front of it, let's just put the 402 aside for a second. The 400, the original 400, the screen and the buttons, they're okay. They are not my favorite. I think that they don't look bad necessarily. They're definitely serviceable. The spinny wheel that you use to change increments on the flash power and roll through the menu, didn't really love that. I didn't really love it on the remote when they had it on the original remote either. They changed that on the remote, and then now obviously the new one, the FJ402, is changed also. So that wasn't, it doesn't feel cheap necessarily, but it kind of borders on that, honestly. And then the screen, well, it works completely fine, seemed a little bit outdated to me whenever it came out. Even though it wasn't, like I said, it's not the worst interface I've ever seen. It is in color, but at the same time, see how you use the wheel here to change the strobe value, and then there's the buttons here for the different menus, or the different options on the menu. So then there's the channel. You can change that with the wheel. So that's how it operates, right? And like I said, it was okay. It just didn't look like it was super modern, right? And then we can fast forward to the new one. The one thing that I've found that I don't love about the FJ402 is that you have to press on twice, basically. I'm sure there's a reason for that. I haven't asked them. But you have to press the on button and then tap it, because it is touchscreen. Oh, that didn't hit it in the center, so it didn't turn on. There we go. Okay, so you can see just from there that the screen, it is very similar, but this has a much more modern feel to it just because of the design and layout and the way the numbers look and everything. The big white boxes on this with the thin skinny lines, that to me, that just, I don't know, it didn't feel like the spacing looked great. It looks much better on this one. So everything's touchscreen. You know, you can touch there, and then you can use the plus or minus, and then you can also, well, I think you can slide it with your finger. Yeah, there you go. So you can change everything either way. You can go through the menus here, change the value with those. You can also, can you go down? Yeah, you can swipe down and up. And then you just touch the menu to go through the different menus. So you can see there is a little bit of a difference there, but that's all superficial. That really doesn't mean anything. And I told myself from the beginning with this, because even if I think something has a design flaw, if it works and nobody cares about the design really, if it's gonna hold up and it's gonna do what it says it does, then that is the main thing. And overall, I thought the design was pretty good. And even the areas that I didn't like necessarily, it didn't affect the way the strobe operated at all. So the only thing is, on one of my older models, the wheel did kind of stop being responsive. But that, you know, that strobe is probably maybe 6 years old, I guess, at this point, 5 or 6. It was maybe the original one I got. So it's lasted a very long time, which it should, because they're not cheap, obviously. But other than that, nothing has ever really, nothing's fallen apart, even though it doesn't feel, it feels more plastic than the new one. This new one feels like it's much more well made. And I will say that. So there is something to be said for that, because you feel like you're getting what you pay for, and I definitely did with this one too. But this one's a little bit more expensive, and it feels like a design upgrade. It feels like a materials upgrade, even if it's not. And I don't know that it is, but it feels more solid and well constructed. This feels like this is still plastic, but it feels like very solid plastic. This feels a little bit more cheap. I don't know why. I can't really articulate exactly why. It may be because of the finish of it, or the fact this is rounded and this one's more flat. Excuse me. But this design and feel of this definitely does feel like it is a more expensive strobe, honestly. Okay, so the one thing that this one does that I don't think the original does is that if you long press the menu button, then when you go to freeze mode, which is, that increases the flash duration when you're inside. I've done videos on that. If you want to see the difference between high-speed sync and flash duration to freeze action, we'll link that in the description. Make sure you check that out, because that's a very important video. You need to understand how that works. But in freeze mode, there's two different numbers. There's a T1 and a T5 number. The original says the T5 number, so when you go to freeze mode on the original, when you go to sync on menu 1, so now it's in freeze mode. So you can see where it says T0.5 and then a colon, then a number, which is your flash duration. That's the T5 number. You can't switch it to T1. This one you can. When you long press that menu button, the first thing says freeze, says T5, you can hit that and then go to T1. So T1 is actually the more accurate of those numbers. So that's the number that most people go by. And that was a complaint about this when I did my video originally on freeze modes, because the T5 doesn't, I don't think that it takes into account fall off as much as the T1 does. So this is much more accurate as far as what you're going to be able to freeze. And it's not going to be as fast either. So that's important, because when you give the T5 number, it's going to be a faster flash duration. It's kind of in a way, it's not deceiving on purpose probably, but the T1 number is the number most people are going to look for if they know what they're talking about. So other than that, honestly, there's not a whole lot of difference here. Except for there is one more big one that I almost forgot about, which is the main point of the video actually, is mask mode. So mask mode allows you to put, a set of strobes in a sequence order. So if we had these two strobes set to mask mode, this could be sequence 1 and this could be sequence 2. So when you fire the first frame, this one's going to fire. You fire the second frame, this one's going to fire. Okay, so let's put them both in mask mode here. Okay, so that you can see that it's a little bit harder to get to on this one too, because there's actually a tab that says mask mode on the 400II. This one, there's a tab on the side, but when you go to it, it's the little mask icon at the bottom there by the power indicator, and it's kind of hard to see, honestly, if you don't know what you're looking for. So it's kind of hard to know that you're in the right area. And then this one, there's a whole tab at the top for it, and then once you click it, you touch it, you press on or off. Then there's a frames tab, a sequence tab, and then your menu tab, right? So that's the big difference. You can set the 402 to more than one sequence, more than one frame in a sequence. So if we had a sequence set to 3, so this one, sequences at the bottom, and then so the number in the sequence, and then all means how many shots are going to be in it. So there's 2, it's set to 2, so there'll be 2 shots. In this one, you set the number of frames under frames, so it's a little bit more confusing, because on this one, so you got mask mode on, the next tab down says all 2. That's how many shots you're going to fire. And then sequence with the 1, this is number 1 in the sequence. This one has a frames tab. Excuse me, I've been sick, that's why I haven't posted in the last week, but I'm just starting to get over it. Okay, so in the original, where it says all, and there's a number beside it, that's how many frames there are in the sequence, total with all the strobes. This one is much more intuitive, it says frames on the tab, so that's obviously, that means how many frames are gonna be fired. So if you put, let's say you put 3, tap 3, then you go to sequence, this one can be all, or it can be number 1, I'm sorry, you can take off 1 if you touch that, and it could be 2 and 3, which ones are lit up blue, or you could just be number 2, or you could be number 1 and number 3, right? The old version can only be 1 number in the sequence. So when you go here, let's lay this down so it's easier to see. When you go to the original and go to sequence, you can set 1 through, well, we have to put the number here higher, duh. All right, so let's go to 6 for all. So in sequence, we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, that's it. You can only do 1. In this one, say if we do the same thing, we set it to 6, you go to sequence, you can do all 6 frames if you want. So you could do all 6 frames for this one to fire, and this one only fire in number 2. But you couldn't do this one, you couldn't set this one to fire, or there'd be no reason to fire for all of them, because then you would just not even have it in mask mode. But you couldn't do, for instance, number 1 and number 3, and then have this one set to all of them, or anything like that. You only get one number in the sequence. This one can have as many as you want, or any combination that you want. So that is a big advantage, because you can set up different setups at once with minimal strobes and use the same light in different sequences, where that one, it's not, you can do some cool stuff with it, but not as much as this one, because that gives you a lot more flexibility, right? So other than that, let's read through the differences here. Okay, so I've got these pulled up here. There's not a ton of difference really. Other than that, nothing that's going to stand out that I would say would be a deal breaker. That is one function that could really come in handy. Okay, all right, so flash duration, it is a little bit different. This one, the lowest, the original, the lowest is 1/280 in normal, and then 1/3000 at the highest power. This one, your flash duration is going to go down as you go up in power. The new one goes down to 1/200th and all the way up to 1/6540, so it doubles the maximum. All right, so let's look at freeze mode. So in normal mode, which normal color temperature and everything, normal shooting mode, the original will do the lowest flash duration at the high, it's going to be at the highest power, would be 1/280, and the fastest flash duration, which would be the lowest power, because when you go down in power, the flash duration increases, 1/3000. In the FJ400II, it goes down to 1/200 for the lowest at the highest power, that is a little bit slower, I guess. And then when you go to the lowest power, though, it goes up to 1/6540. So that's over twice as much, twice as fast flash duration with maximum power. So that's a big jump. Or, I'm sorry, that's the best flash duration at the lowest power, 1/6540. Just like, so if it's on a power of, I guess, what does this go down to? 2? Let's look here. Let's see how far we can go down on the power here. So it goes down to 1. So at 1.0, this would be 6,540. This one would be 1/3000. All right, then in freeze mode, at the highest power, so at 9 out of 9, the original is going to be 1/280. The new one will be 1/220. And the original in freeze mode at the lowest power would be 1/7000, and this one, the FJ400II at the lowest power, so at power of 1 in freeze mode, would be 1/10,800. So that is incredibly fast. So each increment in between, too, you got to imagine this is going to be a better flash duration also. And that's on T1, right? The new one, the FJ400II, will go at 50 frames per second in burst mode, and that's dependent on your camera, obviously, and your power. Let's see, what else? I don't think their recycle time is, that was a little bit different. It's 0.05 to 0.9 on the original, and the new one it's 0.01 to 0.9. So it is faster on the lower power recycle time, which is nice, even though it was incredibly fast to begin with. And I don't think there's anything really else of note. They look to be about the same size. The battery's a different size, so this is the old battery and the new battery. You can see right here where they cut off, they're about the same height. I think technically they might be a little bit different, but that's pretty much the same. Now the new battery is smaller, so together the strobe is gonna be an inch or two shorter, I guess, than the new one, or than the old one. The battery does charge faster, and you also get more full power fires too. So let's go down. That was the only other thing that I remember seeing that was a big deal. So 480 full power fires on the original, and the new one has 550 plus. Now, if you get the Pro Max battery, which is significantly bigger, so that's where it would sit. You can see the size difference. It's about twice as big, but you get twice the power because it's over 1,000 fires for this brick here. Now this thing is heavy, especially on the 800. It adds a lot of weight, but that is a lot of juice. You don't have to charge those things for a while, especially if you're not shooting full power. And even if you are, that's 1,000 full fire powers. That would take me at least 3 shoots to get through. So you gotta think about that too, because the old battery, the new batteries don't work on the old strobe. You have to use the old batteries for the old strobe, new batteries for the new strobe, and they're interchangeable. These both work on the FJ800 also, so you're gonna get less fires out of this, obviously. Well, both of them, but the Pro Max is really, excuse me, Pro Max is really good for the 800 because it uses so much more power. So, other than that, like I said, it's pretty superficial. I do love the design of the new one, though. I've said that before, but it is the truth. I think that, I don't think that anybody's gonna frown on the old one, but when you have the new one, you like it more. It looks nicer, honestly. So is it worth the upgrade? If I didn't have any, I would buy the new one. I would spend the extra $130 for the creative mask mode feature because that can open up a lot of possibilities. And I did a video on that too, which we didn't mention earlier, that I'll link below also. It could really be good for volume photographers, like sports, team and individual volume, like I do. But it could be good for really any setup, honestly, because you could do multiple setups really in one without moving. So that is a big deal. So just because of that alone, and the design's a little bit nicer, I would buy the new one. Now, I'm probably not going to sell my old ones. I'm probably going to keep them. I don't think it would be worth taking the hit, honestly. I would be losing. I don't know what I would get out of them, but I'm going to be honest, my gear's kind of beat up. So probably wouldn't be what I want. It's not going to, it wouldn't be half the price for sure. So just because they're not in great shape, honestly. They still work fine. I've actually hit softballs into these and dropped them I don't know how many times, and they've never, even when I hit a softball directly into one and it busted the glass, it still worked for that shoot. These things, they don't feel as durable, but they definitely are. So I'm expecting the new one to be even more because it feels like it's made better. So overall, I mean, you know, I think go with this one. But if you got these, I really, you know, unless you need that many strobes with the creative mask feature, I would say just keep the old ones and then buy the new ones and add to your set. So that's just my opinion. If you have a lot of disposable income, then, you know, then you can make that decision. If I had that much disposable income and it really truly didn't matter, then I would probably sell them and get the new ones, yes. Or maybe just keep them, just buy all new ones, just so they all matched and I knew that they were all the newest. But, you know, I think that it would be fine using them both. And I have been using them both since the new one came out, and I have no issues. They're completely compatible. They work exactly the same. There's no difference in the quality of light or anything like that. So, you know, as far as the way they operate, you can't tell. And you're never going to know from the pictures. So, you know, it's not like there's a big color drop off or anything like that. So, Okay, so that about does it. Hope you guys enjoyed my long-winded explanation of the difference between the FJ400 and 400II. If you did, I'd appreciate a like. Make sure you subscribe, and also make sure you go to matthernandezcreative.com, sign up for the newsletter so you can get announcements for new workshops, new templates, new videos, all that good stuff. Really appreciate you watching. It means a lot. And also my affiliate links down below. If you want to buy any of this stuff, whether it's Amazon or Westcott, either one, doesn't matter. I would greatly appreciate if you do use those. I also have a Smoke Ninja Pro link also. That helps support the channel because I don't make a ton of money whenever I produce these, but I do love doing it. I love helping people. So anything extra definitely helps. So I would definitely appreciate you guys using those too. So that's it. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.